Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 19th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to ya. Hopefully this episode finds you in a good place, in a good space. Hopefully this energy catches you and lifts you up, whether it's on a Friday or, whatever day you're listening. I actually know for sure that it's not a Friday because it is just too late in the day. But we'll get to that. We've had a good day, but it's been a long day. Started off, I was running a bit late. I woke up about an hour and a half before my alarm, and I got up for a quick second. Then I was like, oh, maybe I can lay back down, do a little nap, and woke up on my second alarm finally. And I was like, all right, let's get to it. So we were already starting dragging a little bit, but overall we got to work okay, no problems. Work was generally pretty good, pretty smooth. Another busy day, but light overall in the scheme of things. It was very manageable. But there was a bit of a detour that came up, and not a bad one. But one of my coworkers came up to me, and this has been a coworker I've been talking to a friend, and they had said, "Hey, Isaiah, I could use a ride. The person who's usually here at work who takes me home had a situation, so I wasn't, I'm in need of a ride. I could use your help." I was like, I got you. We're good. All right. And plus they don't live too far away from my home. So, it was we've kind of had to troubleshoot this before, but then it's always worked out where they were able to get a ride and they're like, oh, Isaiah, actually, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. But this time they actually needed it. So I was like, all right, no, I got you. No worries. And so that's what we wound up doing. So after work, I dropped them off. And for me doing this, they gave me a whole package, a whole kit, and I was very happy about this. It was very heartwarming. One, they gave me gas money, which I was like, oh, that's cool, thank you. I already instantly appreciate that. One, you're not too far off, so it's not a big deal. Plus, this was an impromptu thing. It wasn't something I was necessarily expecting, but it's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Two, this was a coworker that put me on to chapate, which is a snack, a Nepali snack that I have mentioned before on a previous episode in another food corner. So they had this big old bag of puff rice, which is the key ingredient of chapate. And they're like, I got this. Do you want it? And I was like, yes, thank you. And then they busted out a whole thing of fresh peppers. And this was also another thing that we had been talking about, that they had access to these fresh peppers, and I wanted them. I wanted them hot. I wanted them spicy. And, but I'm willing to wait. I'm patient. So I was finally getting them, and I was so eager. They had pulled some out, and I was like, oh, give me one. And I sampled it. And mind you, we're dealing with an end of summer heat situation, towards the tail end of September, right? It is 90 something degrees, and I'm busting this pepper down, and I literally feel like a Looney Tune, with steam coming out of my ears. I'm red, I'm just sweating even more. I was like, this was a mistake. This was a problem. And but it was very yummy, very tasty. So I'm very thankful. I dropped them off. Now, I'm supposed to more or less go now straight to the gym, right? I figured, though, since I'm already pretty close to the house anyway, technically my house is before the gym anyway now on the route, I'm just going to stop by the house anyway, kind of reconnoiter, catch my breath, so to speak, and then get to the gym. Mind you, at this point, I done just sidetracked my whole life because this pepper is bothering me, which is making me sad, right? Because now I'm 30-something, I'm 35. And I just don't have the same stomach that I used to. I feel like 25-year-old me would have tanked that pepper, no problem. Give me another. I can eat 2, 3 right here, right now. No chaser. This pepper, I got through the heat part, but now my stomach is hurting. And I'm back at the house, and I literally crawl into bed for about, I don't know, maybe 30, 45 minutes. Just oh, owie, just drinking a little water. I like a pretzel. I was in a little bit of a bad state. Needless to say, I was gonna get that pump. It's heavy lift day. I'm not missing that. Not over no damn pepper. So we got our Vim, our vigor back, and then we hit it. We went to Planet. And I gotta say, it was a good gym session. Ran into a friend, got to talk a little bit, so that's always nice. And overall, all the machines were free for me, so that's good. I got to get my whole workout in. It was a nice pump. I'd say the only problem is with all the detours and time wasted, I wound up getting out of the gym at like 10 something. And I'm like, this is rough, you know? Like, I'm already at the point now where I'm getting tired for the day and I got to come back home and do like a whole pod. But here we go. That's what we do, baby. That is the life. This is the labor of love that I love to lead and live. I don't know. I'm just talking shit. Like I said, my brain's fried. But that's my day. It's been a good day. It's been a great day. And I'm happy to close it out with some yapping, talking about some news. Also, I wanted to set this episode up to, I feel like it's a little bit different. We got to talk about a little bit of Trump stuff, but I'm going to call it good news in the Trump verse, at least to me. And then the rest of it are kind of some, I would say a little bit more oddities-based stories. A little bit of the stories that I haven't really covered as much, especially lately. We've had a lot of heavy news over the past week and a half. So yeah, I felt like this would be something to kind of lighten the palate up, you know, to kick off the weekend. But before we really kick things off, let's do our startup and then we'll really get into it. I want to say at least a soft shout out to the new follower on Spotify and then the new followers on YouTube. Thank you very much. And I think we got a new follower on TikTok. Let's go. I don't like do any kind of specific shout outs on that. I say that for the newsies, but I am always happy to see some growth, see a little bit more traction and that, you know, in the little data analysis, and no mean comments. Let's clap it up. Yay. We love that. A couple of dislikes. I can live with that. I can tank those. That's fair. You're so valid for that. Anyway. All right. Our first story comes from NBC News. Judge tosses Trump's $15 billion New York Times lawsuit, calling it improper and invective. A federal judge on Friday struck down President Donald Trump's $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times, saying a courtroom can't be used as a substitute for the Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, which is a place where people come to like express their opinions. I believe in like the UK. It's this like very iconic spot that is used to this day and is being used as an example by the judge. Trump's side will still have a chance to amend the Middle District of Florida complaint in 28 days, as long as it's no longer than 40 pages. U.S. District Court Judge Stephen Merriday ruled. A complaint is not a megaphone for public relations or a podium for a passionate oration at a political rally or the functional equivalent of the Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, according to Merriday, an appointee of President George H.W. Bush. Trump is claiming he was defamed by the newspaper, four of its reporters, and book publisher Penguin Random House. The judge said that Trump's complaint, as it now stands, is improper and impermissible, adding that every lawyer should know that a lawsuit is not a public forum for vituperation and invective or rage against an adversary. An attorney for the president could not be immediately reached for comment on Friday afternoon. So, I mean, I hope that this is the last of this specific lawsuit, though, I mean, there's still a flurry of lawsuits that either Trump or the administration is in, whether it be a personal thing or whether it be, you know, once again tied to, actually government matters, political matters, whatever. Excuse me. So, I will take this dub in a milieu of wins and losses that are happening and to happen, in the Trump verse. But we'll see. I mean, there could be a rewriting of this, and then maybe that one does stick. Maybe he is able to make that happen. Trump definitely has the resources to do that. And plus, like I said, I mean, we still have the Wall Street Journal, defamation suit, which is, I believe, 100 billion, right? Which that's such a crazy number. All for some shit that my speculation hat is on, or allegedly are out. Like it's clearly there, bro. You can say you didn't doodle, you don't doodle, but that's a doodle with your name where the bush should be. Ugh. Anyway, yuck. Ugh. Anyway, we can take a shower now, and we can get out of the Trumpverse. We're done with that for the day. Let's go ahead and move on to the quirkier stories. I'm gonna call them that. ABC News. Bay Area celebrity chef robs 3 banks in one day, police say. Ooh, it even has a rhyme on the headline. A prominent Bay Area chef was arrested last week for allegedly robbing 3 San Francisco banks in a single day, authorities said. Dude, this is like giving Point Break, but it's like chef edition. Valentino Luchin, 62, of San Francisco, was taken into custody on September 10th after allegedly passing notes demanding money to bank tellers at 3 separate locations in the city's central district, according to San Francisco Police Department, or to the San Francisco Police Department. His bail is set at $200,000. The first incident occurred around 12:02 p.m. when Luchin allegedly entered a bank in Chinatown and passed a note to an employee demanding money, police said. After receiving cash, he fled the scene. 2 more banks in the Central District were allegedly robbed similarly that same day. Investigators, aided by SFPD, ambassadors, and community tips, identified Luchin as the suspect and arrested him without incident, police said. He was booked into San Francisco County Jail on charges of robbery and attempted robbery, authorities said. The arrest marked Luchin's second brush with bank robbery charges. In 2018, he admitted to robbing a city bank in Orinda, California. I'm sure I'm fucking that up, but whatever. Location. Making off with over $15,000, according to an interview he gave ABC News owned station in San Francisco, KGO, from the Martinez detention facility at the time. During that interview, Luchin, a distinguished Italian chef known for his expertise in regional cuisine and the former owner of Ottavio restaurant in Walnut Creek, blamed financial struggles after his establishment closed in 2016. We've been struggling a lot financially, and I have a family, he told KGO. It wasn't something I was planning on doing for a living. In the 2018 incident, Orinda police said Luchin used what he later claimed was a BB gun and was arrested within 3 hours of the robbery at an athletic club parking lot in Lafayette. Which I was kind of surprised. I mean, I'm sure I'm getting the legalities on this wrong, and it probably varies, maybe even from state to state. But I always kind of thought that if you were using a weapon, even if it's an imitation weapon, even sometimes if it's your finger in your fingers in the pocket and as an imitation of a gun, if you threaten that, they can bump that charge up to you have a weapon. You used a weapon in this robbery. I might be wrong about that. It might be, like I said, it might be specific to individual states. But that definitely makes sense and adds up with him getting initially hit with that and then saying, okay, if I'm going to do this again, if I'm going to be back at it, I'm just going to do the note method because that's potentially going to get me less time even when I get caught. So, I found that to be a very interesting, heist mode situation. Not just one, but multiples. And not just one time he's done this, but this is his second wave of bank robbery. So, and he was chefing it up the whole fucking time. God damn. But yeah, we have another scheme that I wanted to cover. This is coming out of a Disney restaurant in Florida. But yeah, this is a Vice story. And other news outlets covered it, but this was a little bit more robust, I felt like. So I was like, all right, we'll run with this story. The mental image that comes with robbers is a ski mask or balaclava. This guy, though, got creative. Scuba gear was going to be his uniform for the crime. I love how they, editorialize this shit, zhuzh it up a little bit. Make it nice and tasty for you. Deputies in Orange County, Florida, are searching for a man suspected of robbing Paddlefish, a seafood spot at Disney Springs that's designated to look like a modern steamboat floating on Lake Buena Vista. The suspect allegedly entered the restaurant just after midnight, dressed head to toe in black wetsuit like clothing, with goggles and gloves. He also chose the bold move of going shoeless, socks only. Employees told deputies he ordered them down onto their knees and demanded cash. The man wasn't armed, at least not visibly, according to the Orange County Sheriff's Office incident report. But he's still left with thousands of dollars in what officials are investigating as both robbery and grand theft, estimated between $10,000 and $20,000. This incident occurred after the restaurant was closed and there was no patrons present, the sheriff's office confirmed in a statement. Surveillance photos released by investigators show a figure in scuba-style gear pointing something toward the camera. The object hasn't been identified, and large portions of the report remain redacted. Yeah, I thought that they were like spraying something onto the camera or something, but I guess not. I don't know. I would like to know more about that. What deputies do know is that after leaving Paddlefish, the suspect ditched or stored the wetsuit before escaping. Some sources told local outlets they believe he swam to the floating restaurant and may have used the water as an exit strategy. Which you would think, and maybe call me dumb or dense, when you already have the scuba suit. Like, was it just the elaborate ruse of a scuba suit? Like, you didn't want to use it for its intended purpose? Like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, interesting high swear. I mean, Payday, they should definitely take notes if that's still a game you can play, and like maybe that'd be like a cool like downloadable costume, you know? Because you got the standard like, hey, I'm in the suit with the the Reagan mask, or insert I don't know, dark Joker mask. I don't know, whatever the fuck they got. But this would be a good hit. I feel like the scuba gear, you go full scuba Steve mode, little crime, little wet crime, little wet work, but not. But anyway, Paddlefish has declined to comment, and the investigation is ongoing. Deputies are asking anyone with information to contact them directly or through Central Florida Crime Line. Disney Springs attracts thousands of visitors daily for shopping and dining, and Paddlefish, which opened in 2017, is one of its signature restaurants. It serves lobster, corn dogs. I was expecting there to be a comma there, but no. Lobster corn dogs, hell yeah. Crab fries, and a rooftop bar with a view of the water. Okay. Look, I know that shit probably costs like $20 for a lobster corn dog, but I'm smashing that. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna lie. I'm throwing that down aggressively. No pause. Now, it's also the scene of a crime, or scene of one of the strangest robberies in recent Florida memory. Police are still combing through footage and tips, but for now, the suspect remains at large. I feel like this is not the strangest Florida crime ever. I mean, maybe it's like one of the strangest ones that we've covered on this one, but I mean, I know Weird AF News, which is a good one if you like little news stuff like this and you want to hear someone do it better than I do it. The host on that will do a Florida Friday, and God, I've heard so many crazy zany stories coming just out of Florida alone. Florida man is undefeated. They are unstoppable. And I think they're growing. I think they're multiplying. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to move on off of, Scuba Steve, and we're going to talk about the chimpanzees. But yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break, and then we're going to get a little monkey with it. We'll see. We're going to read up on some stuff. We're going to learn some stuff. A new study just dropped. Let's go, dude. Let's crack a cold one and, boast open the fruits, and let's get crazy. But no, okay. To be honest, I kind of hit or miss when it comes to a study. Generally, it has to be something very interesting for me to want to cover it on the pod, because I just have this fear that you talk about a study, you go in depth, you make this your canon science in your head because you're just a fucking idiot. I'm talking about myself. And then 5-10 years later, there's a new study that goes, hey, that study that you're referencing and thinking about, that's bollocks. That's fucking bullshit. That's not science. That's actually bull crap. So don't worry about it. This study though, this is the new shit. This is what we're thinking is happening now. So I kind of almost like, bear with a grain of salt. But I don't know. This has been something that's been a long treaded thing. I'm teasing it. I don't know why. But from National Geographic, chimpanzees consume the equivalent of more than 2 alcoholic drinks per day. They're getting boozy, y'all. The chimpanzees are getting drunk. Also, sorry if I shouldn't be calling them monkeys. I can't remember. At this point, look, I've been in the fruits. So if I do that, if I fuck up, mea culpa. I'm sorry. Pre-correction. Our closest living primate relatives may prefer tree hopping over bar hopping, but they do consume quite a bit of alcohol through their food, a new study finds. Primatologists primatologists had long suspected that chimpanzees ingest sizable amounts of alcohol given their preference for ripe fruits, which can ferment naturally as yeast from the environment convert their sugars into alcohol. But a study published in Science Advances this week is the first to estimate their daily alcohol consumption based on an analysis of more than 500 fruits found below trees where chimpanzees recently fed, their daily food intake, and the amount of time spent eating different fruit species. This allowed scientists to calculate that, taking into account their lower body weight, chimpanzees consume the equivalent of 2.5 or 2.5 human drinks per day on average. Yo, to me, that's so fucking sick. Because I think about myself, and when I was doing my peak, like, casual drinking, I mean, I'm still casually drinking now, but it generally was about 2 to 3 beers in a day. I'm just kicking back post-work, vibing out. This is obviously no podcast, just vibes, just me, no working out. I'm just chilling, watching TV, playing a video game, like, yeah, I'm drinking. Yeah, I'm doing some other stuff. But like, yeah. So like the fact that chimpanzees are just like us for real, that to me was just like, oh my dude, that was so cool to learn that. But the data set is convincing, representing a wide array of fruits ingested at sites in East and West Africa, says Dartmouth evolutionary biologist Nathaniel Dominy. Dominy? I don't know. I like that last name. Who was not involved in the study. These findings are bound to stir debate and move the discipline forward. The study's scientists suspect the chimps are seeking out these alcoholic fruits on purpose in 2 different chimp populations. Biologist Aleski Morrow of the University of California, Berkeley, and colleagues discovered that most popular fruits for each group had some of the highest alcohol levels. A kind of fig at Ngogo in Uganda's Kibale National Park, and a kind of plum in Cote d'Ivoire Thai National Park. So we're talking fucking figs and plums, and they're just getting fucking ripped shit off of them. I mean, not ripped shit, because like I said, 2.5, and I say this because I'm like, yeah, that to me is a good kickback, and I definitely was doing 2.5, sadly, because like back then, even at my peak, I would like it'd be at the end of the night, and I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so sleepy, and then I would like wake up and see that I didn't finish the beer, and I'd be so mad. I'm like, I'm the one paying for these 12 packs, and I'm not finishing them. I need to stop this. And that definitely was like the beginning of me curbing a bit of my drinking habits a little bit. I was like, all right, let's do one. One is good. One and done is fine, and then we can really let loose on the weekend. And then that's when I became who I am today. No, alcohol content may signal to the chimpanzees that a fruit has a high sugar level, Morrow says, and that the fruit has more available nutrients because it has reached a certain level of fermentation. But the alcohol Also may be appealing in and of itself, or in itself, Morrow adds. Given that chimpanzees and humans share a lot of genetics and evolutionary history, the study supports the idea that our attraction to alcohol may date far back in time. None of the fruits are super boozy. The average chimpanzee diet contained only 0.3% alcohol, but since a chimpanzee can ingest around 10 pounds of fruit a day, that amounts to an average daily dose of 14 to 15 grams of alcohol. A standard human drink is about 10 grams, but since chimps weigh much less than humans do, 14 to 15 grams to them is the equivalent of around 2.5 human drinks per day. So in a way, it's like, once again, making that comparison to myself, I'm a bit of a lightweight. So, you feel that shit. It take a little bit goes a long way, so to speak. You know what I mean? Oh man, no, I had a thought, but I either won't say it or I'll save it for later. They're doing that over the course of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's obviously a big difference too. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to power through some like liquid alcohol, given this hour or two, this is a thing that's taking place over a whole day. 2.5, 2.5 is not that crazy if you split it up over a whole day cycle, right? I mean, at least I kind of think so. Says Morrow, so to speak, because chimps eat more or less throughout the day. But when they find a tree heavy with their favorite fruits, they sometimes engage in binge eating, stuffing their mouths with as many figs as they can fit, sucking out all the juice and alcohol, then spitting the dry wad onto the floor. Now that's kind of yucky, but I mean, hey, it's nature, baby. That's not my house. But unlike unhealthy binging behaviors in humans, this is considered normal and natural, scientists say. It's just what chimpanzees do. It's just what they do, baby. It's just how they operate. Let's see. The study is not without shortcomings. Biologist Matthew Kerrigan of the College of Central Florida points out study authors did not directly consider how many fruits the chimpanzees really ate, just how much time they spent eating different types. Primatologist Carleen Janmaat of the University of Amsterdam, the Netherlands, also points out it remains uncertain whether the fruits dropped or left behind by the chimpanzees may be higher or lower in alcohol than the ones they ate. So yeah, not a perfect study, but definitely it might be on to something. A fun fact that they get into, this is kind of where I wanted to maybe hold the joke. Still, if given unlimited access to alcohol, chimpanzees might not know when to quit. In the 1960s, an experiment that would not be permitted today showed that when chimpanzees could drink as much alcohol as they wanted, some didn't touch it, while others drank until visibly drunk. So this to me is giving like hangover vibes, and like they're just going like so fucking deep, and it's like, oh no, don't do it. No, don't be like this, please. And I couldn't imagine a fully drunken chimpanzee. That sounds like a terror. That oof. And not to mention potentially a whole group of them. Ah man, no. That's a new horror movie that I haven't thought up fully or seen, and I wouldn't want to go see. Wild chimpanzees, unless it was maybe like really funny, which I don't know. I don't think that's problematic. Like we're not actually getting them drunk, Wild chimpanzees in Guinea have been observed using leaves as sponges to access fermented palm sap from the containers people use to harvest it, says conservation scientist Kimberly Hawkins of the University of Exeter, who helped conduct that research but was not involved in Marlow's study. Multiple chimpanzees ingested this alcoholic beverage, often in large quantities, despite an average presence of 3.1% and up to 6.9 percent alcohol by volume. Some of them were behaving a bit odd afterwards, but she adds that this is an unusual situation and that chimpanzees are unlikely to get drunk on fruit. There may be a genetic explanation for why. An earlier study by Kerrigan and colleagues revealed that chimpanzees, humans, and gorillas share a genetic mutation in an enzyme involved in alcoholic metabolism that works 40 times faster than that of other primates. This means that if they're consuming alcohol in their food rather than one human-like gulp, much of it might be broken down before it reaches the blood. So, in other words, it might actually just be something that's not even really fucking them up, And, it might be something that they're looking for because, once again, they're just looking for the sugars and they just overall feel better eating it. So that makes sense. As in humans, alcohol may also play a role in social bonding for chimps. Hawkins was recently involved in a study that found chimpanzees in Guinea-Bissau shared naturally fermented fruits with each other, and suggests the sharing and dietary incorporation of ethanol-containing foods is extensive and may have played a long-standing role in humanoid societies. The plentiful presence of food reduces social tensions, which may allow bonds to be tested and strengthened. After stuffing themselves with figs, Morrow explains, groups of male chimpanzees sometimes disappear into the forest together to hunt for monkeys or patrol the boundaries of their territory. Damn, that's some Planet of the Apes style ass fucking shit. I'm like, whoa, chill on that. Once again, now we're getting spooky. You're hitting the figs, and then you're just gonna like, it's time to hit the streets. It's time to roll. It's time to swing, brother. It's like, whoa. Can we just chill? I got the itis. I'm a little bubbly. Like, my stomach's so bloated. Like, can I just vibe, please? Patrolling is a dangerous activity since chimps of different groups risk death in an encounter. It's tantalizing to think that alcohol in the fruits might help them to gather up their courage first, Morrow said. Now, that definitely makes me think, speaking of the fact this is from like Nat Geo, and as a kid, definitely way more back then, I was like watching animal docs and things. Whenever you see like two groups of monkeys meet, the tension, it's so scary. Like you do feel that crackling energy, and it's very something bad could really happen here, and then they might fight, they might scuffle. Usually it's just about type shit, but anyway. That's it. That's all I have for today. Hopefully you like the stories. Hopefully they were a little bit lighter. Like nobody died, so that's cool, right? A lot of Florida mentioned, but that's about it. Anyway, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Whatever platform you like to listen on. I should be there. But yeah, leave a like. Like I said, a like, not a dislike. We don't like dislikes, but leave a like. Leave a comment. Cool comment, not a mean comment. Something cool, constructive, useful, or just, say something nice. Talk about yourself, by all means. Gas yourself up. Yeah, you can promo right now. By all means. I mean, it'd be kind of weird. Actually, don't promo, but whatever. You can Patreon, and then you can promo. There you go. But no, all the stars are appreciated. Sharing is caring. All that good stuff. All that jazz, baby. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.